They live without water or electricity, and yet they are right next to the electricity company. It distributes electricity to all the areas in the south, but its neighbors receive none. All of these families, 15,000 people. 5 houses were demolished here.
Khadra Al-Sana is an Israeli Bedouin. She works for a women's association and organizes literacy classes for adult women in Bedouin villages in the Negev Desert. Villages that are not officially recognized by the Israeli government. Slums, really, with no schools or basic facilities such as electricity or water.
There's no water because they didn't lay any pipes. What should we do? This is not a village. They don't recognize it, no matter how much we demand it. Our men have to work, and they're required on top of that to spend their time running after recognition. They have to recognize us willingly. There are no rights in Israel. They say they let us live comfortably, but we can't say a word to them. We are living silently.
Silence is not an option anymore, and the only way around it was to take both Arabic and Hebrew lessons.
إنه بدنا البنك، بدنا المستشفى، بدنا العيادات، بدنا الشؤون الاجتماعية، يعني بدها تروح على المدارس.
We need the bank, the hospital, the social services, the schools, and so she needs to learn Hebrew so that she can express herself in a society that is under Israeli rule. We need to understand their language because all the services of the government institutions are in Hebrew. So the women become isolated and their contribution to the society has diminished.
It's not just the status of the women that has deteriorated. The Bedouin way of life itself has been threatened since the creation of the State of Israel 55 years ago. In 1948, the Bedouin were dispossessed of their lands, which hadn't been officially registered until then. The land became state-owned and was allocated to Jewish settlers. In the 1960s, the Israeli government created 7 townships as part of their policy of sedentarizing the Bedouin. The aim was to create a cheap source of urban labor, disregarding the traditional Bedouin livelihood of farming. Today, half of the 130,000 Negev Bedouins live in slum-like villages, which haven't been recognized by the state and which are therefore considered illegal. Thousands of land claims have been filed by the Bedouins, but only 20% have been recognized.
Of course, we get to the point of despair and desperation because our rights are not recognized by the government. Our villages are not recognized, neither are our rights. We own these lands from father to son for so many generations, only God knows how many. The government recognizes that these lands actually belong to us just in one case, when we sell them. If we sell them, it recognizes that fact and gives us the money. Other than that, it doesn't recognize that we have any land or anything. I mean, today we are threatened with deportation. Since 1990, we have been living here, awaiting court and legal procedures. If the court decided tomorrow to deport us, we will leave. Of course, we will only leave by force.
In recent years, this village has been living under the threat of the Green Patrol, the paramilitary police which enforces the demolitions. Under a 1965 law, houses built in concrete in unrecognized villages can be destroyed. Here, 90% of the homes have been served with a destruction order, and 5 were recently razed to the ground.
Of course, when they come, people gather. all of them from far and close areas. They gather, and if they could stop the bulldozers, they would. But of course, the authorities come here ready, as if they are prepared for a military action. They come at dawn, they set soldiers and barriers on a 2-kilometer circle, and they won't let anybody enter until they finish the task. Only after they finish, after 1 or 2 hours, they let the media and people enter. They come with huge force.
The Azazma, the clan of this village, are now in discussions with the authorities to negotiate their transfer to other lands 10 kilometers away. They want to get away from a chemical plant which is right on their doorstep, and they want to continue farming and cattle breeding. They have refused relocation to recognized towns, which they call graveyards. Roughly 5,000 people are on standby, hoping to reach an agreement with the Israeli land authorities. Lakia is a small town of 8,000 inhabitants. It's the latest addition to the recognized Bedouin towns in the Negev. Although outwardly it looks as if the traditional rural ways have merged with the new urban setting, there is very little farming going on here. The lands surrounding the town don't belong to the Bedouins anymore. They're on lease for short periods of time, usually 3 months, and grazing land is limited. Crops were even destroyed with poison as the government claimed that the plantations were illegal. So the people feel robbed of their traditional livelihood.
So we build these ghettos and gatherings and we call them towns. Bedouin towns. The houses look good at the beginning, but give it a year or two and things start to deteriorate. The negative side shows through. Life gets harsher. We cannot even provide for our food, let alone teach our children. We have to pay for water and electricity, a lifestyle with a lot of expenses. And the problem is that we do not have a source of income that enables us to provide for these things. Like the middle-class Jews who earn 10,000 shekels or 5,000, whereas here you earn only 2,000, which isn't enough for the food even.
People stopped moving to these lands because they saw what's happening for the people who already moved there, because they don't have jobs, there's no economical infrastructure, they lost their traditional livelihood, grazing herds and engaging in traditional agriculture, and suddenly they became unskilled labor. So a lot of people, and today about 50% of the Bedouin population in the Negev are refusing to move into these towns because of the failure of the model.